Hello, Internet. I'm Jackie Fox, and today I want to talk about kind of what I'm planning for the future of my account. And I have 3, and I'm going to talk about each of them. So, first is my newest account, actually. It played Earth in the beginning, and then it went into Ice. Originally, I started like a month before Final Fantasy 15 and Oberon and pulled them, and I actually repulled my account initially for Kilfe to make sure that I had a 3rd Earth unit for them. So that team eventually, seeing that Earth was a little bit weaker than a lot of the other elements, seeing that Ice was coming up and was a good way to counter the Wind teams that had been annoying me, I went from an Earth player that was being beaten by Wind to a Wind hunting player. So for my Earth account, I am really hoping that I get Queen Macherie as a pull and that I can build her. I have 164 Oberon shards already. If Kilfe gets a 120, I guess I could run her as well. But really, what I'm kind of looking for is a lot more late game. I'm looking for Velis, and I'm looking for Eliza. They both get late game upgrades that are going to be a bit further into the system, but I think that that's probably going to be the strength for this team. Also, I could potentially get Dark Fina, but I don't really have a lot to play her with. This is more of a physical account, so it doesn't necessarily have a lot of mage support. And Uriel, I do want to start doing quests for because she could be a really cool Earth unit into the future, and maybe might be a way that I can pivot into a strike team, but I highly doubt it for this account. And then in my barracks, again, reinforcing that these 2 are the way that I'm going. I've already got a good bit of Oberon Mind Spheres, and I can go more heavily that way later. I'm building up Titus because I have no other choice but to build him. He's still not at 120. We'll get there eventually. Same deal for Halloween Raryu. I just want his TMR. So any day now when I can 99 and 120, I can switch these guys out for units that I really want. Noctis. When is Noctis getting his 140 wotive? When is it happening? I mean, we have revisited the Final Fantasy VII Remake collab in JP. That was the Final Fantasy collab that came before Final Fantasy 15, with one other non-mainline collab in between, which was at the time Nier. JP has had Full Metal Alchemist. I'm just saying, Final Fantasy 15, give Noctis a 140. I'm going to start building the Mind Spheres and just hope it works out. So for my lightning, my oldest account, my maybe kind of hint of rainbow account, I don't know, I actually haven't been focusing on this count quite as much as I used to. And it's starting to show. I don't have as clear a plan moving forward for it. I do have a lot of Final Fantasy VII spheres, though. I was thinking about maybe doing Cloud and Tifa. I do have some wind on this account, but not really the wind that you would want, so I can't really support Tifa. Maybe I want her into a strike team in the future. She works really well with Edward. But that's something that I'm thinking about for maybe later. Those Mind Spheres are going towards Cloud because this is a Lightning account. In terms of what other Mind Spheres I have, though, as you can see, like a lot of the free units, I just have a lot saved for. So hopefully those trade pretty well. King Mont, of course. I think I have like 120 of his shards in addition. I could probably 140 him on every account. Oberon, I think actually might be 115 on this account or 120, but I don't think I'm going to be building him. Although, actually, now that I think about it, I have Queen Macherie and I have enough to 140 her. I should probably start working on Oberon shards, and I think that that is actually reflected in, yep, and Can't believe that worked by actually clicking the X. And yep. So I've definitely been on this for a while, thinking that I need more Oberon shards. I decided pretty much that I don't want Tifa in my barracks anymore. 300 is enough. I'm going to leave Cloud in there and maybe get another 120. So the 420 should be enough for just one unit for sure. Still building Eliza to 115. Still hoping to get Resnick for Skahal shenanigans. And I'm really hoping that Easter is Esther 140. It is a global exclusive unit, so who knows when that's going to happen. There's no way to look forward to JP for that. But she's an Easter bunny, so Easter seems like the time to do that. And I hope so, because Cloud is really going to need a 140 partner for this Lightning team, because I'm not really sure who else to go for. And then the team that I'm probably been talking about, thinking about the most recently, I only posted one picture for. Let me fix that. Okay, so as you can see, I am definitely going to be going for Aerith on this account as my Final Fantasy VII unit. But I'm going to leave both of these ladies in the barracks for a very, very long time, because I also want to build Tifa very badly for this account. I want to have her in 140 probably a bit before Full Metal Alchemist to start playing around with Perrene and Strike teams, because this is eventually going to become a Strike account and a Wind Water Strike account. Since it is already a Wind and Water account, it could lean into that really easily. I mean, I have 2 of the 3 in the Wind Water Strike team already. I just need Edward, and he's free. Really, the struggle for this is going to be saving up and for the VCs, and also it would be really cool to get Alphonse for this team as well. As you can see, I'm still building this girl. I think this is probably another account where I have actually probably the best opportunity to play Dark Fina. I have the best support for magic and the best support for dark magic on this account. She could be a really good tank for that, maybe even moving into the future, but I think I have good opportunities to build Whisper for this account too. But at this point, that feels like pulling it in one too many directions, since I'm already like Wind, Water, Strike, Dark? No, it's too much. Summer Elsarel hopefully is getting a summer reincarnation. She has been... I pulled her on a free ticket as I was starting this account. I didn't expect to get anything off of the summer units. I was in love with Summer Kilfay. I already had her on my other account. I thought she was cool. I thought she really kicked ass, but I didn't necessarily want her. She has been the carry on this account since the beginning. Like, yes, Astrius and Celeste are better units, but I still find her being a valid third on every team that I make, and it's been hard, even with other water units, to kick her off of that team. So I'm hoping that around the summer, by the summer, I will have the shards to get her 140, since you get them a little slower, since I can't hard quest her. Speaking of hard quests, here's what I'm looking at. You can see I've got Perrene. I'm still building her to 120, as you may have seen in my video. I believe I'm also building her to 120. Astrius, as you may have seen earlier, I only have like 30 Mind Spheres for, so I need to build him up. But for Dark Fina and June, while I do plan to use them into the future with this, I already have enough Mind Spheres for them, and they are later units. I have enough Mind Spheres for Oberon as well, and I am considering actually building Oberon for this account, at least to have like a 140 Oberon in front of 140 maybe Aerith and Perrene as a bait team. And I guess this means I'm building Oberon on every account, but he was just a really easy unit to plan for, and most of my accounts have 120 Mind Spheres of his already or are close. So he kind of fits in on all of my accounts, oddly enough. Now, you may have noticed in all of this talking that I'm not really talking about anything that I want to pull, other than hoping that I get Queen Macherie to be able to have a viable 140 Earth account. Or, wait, what was the other one? Well, that was just hoping that we get Esther. Amnilus. Hoping for a lucky pull of Amnilus. I think this is really the only character that I'm really thinking about pulling for past Perrene on any account until Full Metal Alchemist. And then I might just try to go for both of the brothers on many accounts. I don't know. Luckily, Slime Leader has no interest in anything moving forward. Oh wait, that's not Slime Leader. What am I doing? You are Chocobilly. You are also not Slime Leader. Luckily, Slime Leader, dang it. Where's the one that shows that I have no viz? Luckily, Slime Leader doesn't really have any interest in really anything that's going to be happening into the future, except hoping that there will be some sort of a Final Fantasy 15 re-collaboration so that Noctis can get working, and maybe a third ice unit at some point for playing with. I mean, oh no, hoping for a snow collaboration after 15 would just be too much. No. Probably Alaya is really what I'm waiting for to complete that team. Or a new ice unit that I don't know about. Wait. Reagan. Okay. Slime Leader is saving for Reagan all the way down the line. Good God. Aurora, or Aurora Reunion now. I have more viz on this account. I might actually pull for Sephiroth, just because Sephiroth is guaranteed to be a badass. Often I don't like Sephiroth in FFBE games, or really in Final Fantasy games, even though I think he's a cool character. Usually his execution is just being brutally powerful in a way that's not necessarily fun, and in a way that sometimes gets power crept really easily. The fact that he has guaranteed hit on an AoE with re-raise removed, though, that has a lot of bells and whistles that doesn't feel like it will be power crept very easily, in the same way that usually just making him a big stat stick kinda goes. So, there's that. So with all of that being said, let's take a look at Wotive Calc at some units, and I'm gonna back up more towards the beginning. It should start with Prince Mont right here. Okay, so early option for fire is going to be King Mont. King Mont is going to have a threshold heal added into his kit, in addition to some other tricks that are going to make him more survivable. He is a pretty lucky unit as it is, and I theorized a long time ago that he had potential to be evasive, and he really doesn't himself. However, on actual fire evasion teams, he can dodge more often than you think for a tank, which is pretty cool. Oh snap! Okay, so the thing is, my Ice and Earth account does not have anything from Final Fantasy VII, was not playing at that time. Barret would be such a good unit for that Ice and Earth base team, because that would be my second to go with Velis. Just Barret, Velis, and Eliza, and I've got my New Age 140 Earth missile team. I think Oberon is going to be important. I wouldn't have mentioned him so many times. Unfortunately, this was an MA2. This is not an indication she will get a 140, and now I have to fix the shit again. Okay. I'm going to try not to click on them as much. Omnilus, whom I managed to completely leave out in talking about things that Perrene works with in the future, she has auto courage with the same threshold as Skahal. She has Skahal's ability. It's on a passive, So she has to have it on as a passive, but also it's the passive that you're most likely to have on even if it weren't for that. So she has auto courage. So she's going to work really well with healers like Aerith. And the fact that I'm building Aerith, that's the thing that makes me want to lucky pull her. But unlike a lot of the other units that are coming out around her and around these times, she's not limited. She's a normal pull unit. So I'm just thinking I'll get her when I get her, I'll build her when I build her, and when I build her, she's going to be great with Aerith. That's all I need to know. Fire and fire evasion is definitely going to be enabled by Yuffie. Yuffie is definitely the go-to girl for this. These teams may still want a tank, so you may still want King Mont for that fire evasion team, even though he's not an evade unit. And if you have Valentine's Ildira, this can be a good reason to skip Pissarro and just go for Yuffie. Of the two as an evasion unit, because she can dodge guaranteed hit attacks, or turn off guaranteed hit. I mean, I guess anybody with reflex can dodge guaranteed hit attacks, but she can actually turn off guaranteed hit entirely and probably has reflex. But I'm not going to click because it'll screw up the list again. So Yuffie is definitely a big choice for fire players, especially ones that are going into evasion. Whisper is also a really good tank into 140. She's also a tank that you probably have a very large pile of Mind Spheres for, so if you aren't 5-to-1 trading those, I understand as the exchange rate, you're going to be using them to build her as your dark tank to go with. Maybe you pulled Sephiroth, so she goes with Sephiroth. I haven't heard a lot of great things about Rurugia, unfortunately, even when he gets his 140. Again, that's why I really feel like the only unit that I'm super hyped about over the last or next 2 months is Perrene. Lysol could be good and could definitely work with like Tifa and Edward. I could definitely see that being a thing. But she's a dagger unit, and I see a lot of Fist in Wynn's future. And even if I don't see a lot of Fist in Wynn's future, I don't see her fitting into Wynn's present. So she's kind of an awkward unit that, like, she's a 100 cost Wind unit. She's almost certainly going to be good for Wind players, but I just don't think that she has the greatest design for the things that Wind wants to do. But she also could work. So she's not terrible, but not a recommend. One of the first ones that gets me excited, though, is Queen Macherie, even though I mentioned this before, I don't necessarily like the upgrade to her ability, but she is a very new unit compared to, like, look, coming out next to regular Glaciella. So she is going to be a lot more powerful than some of the other Awakenings, at least at first, so that should be pretty cool. Dark Fina is also another great example of that same sort of, they were just released and they're already getting an upgrade. They're going to be really powerful, at least initially, type units. So definitely one I recommend if you're saving for Dark, or if you're especially going into Magic or Dark Magic, or maybe you're trying some sort of unknown or currently unknown job VC based Magic team kind of thing. With the recent Halloween Vision card probably helping out a lot. And it's also around this time that we're going to start getting our Warriors of the Crystal updated right before Full Metal Alchemist. But I think the only one that's probably relevant is Cetia, even though she's not necessarily well synced with what Fire is doing. Kind of like Lysol, she's going to be a 100 cost unit that definitely brings a lot of power to her element. But at the same time, I'm not sure she's doing what her element wants her to be doing. I didn't realize that Zisa got her 140 this close to FMA in making my previous video, which is kind of unfortunate. She is interesting in that she, with her upgraded monk, she has an AoE percentage-based heal with regen, and she has the ability to revive someone at full life rates, but not full life HP. It if you're going for a full strike team, basically the only way you're going to get a healer other than Slime or other than Etra, actually. And let me see. There might actually be another strike unit that could work. No, not yet. So Etra and Zisa. Zisa is going to be the only UR strike unit that is going to have those healing capabilities. So that might not be the most important thing on a strike team, but it's definitely unique for a strike team or interesting for a strike team. So it's a reason to think about Zisa. Obviously, I've already talked about how much I love these two boys and like what they do specifically in another video, so I won't rehash that then. I also hear that the other parts of the FMA collaboration are good, but I don't know. This is what I'm spending my viz on in addition to their cards, so I don't have the mental energy to get into whether you or... Where is Bradley, by the way? Like, how did he get so far away from Mustang? Uriel, as I've talked about, being a strike unit and being also powerful anti-missile unit, I think she's going to be really strong into the future. And now we're getting into the brand new JP stuff. One unit that I didn't mention because he doesn't really have as much of a niche now, and maybe with his master ability, and maybe this is actually a character that's kind of worth looking at in this video a little bit, just to see what that is. Critical rate, critical damage. What's the skill? It's not a job level 25. That's not fun. It is 5 characters long. That might distinguish it a little bit. 5 characters long. Evasion rate, single target resistance. Ignore sure hit is the new part. So, Chunok gets Yuffie's evasion thing. Maybe that makes him a good evade unit. Maybe that makes potentially like Chunok, Perrene, and maybe Farm, or another unit that I'm not thinking about. Could potentially be like a water evasion team of the far future. Tidus! Maybe like a 140 Tidus could be in the future of water evasion. That would be a cool way to see him come back. And then that brings us into kind of the more modern stuff with the relevant Crystal Warriors. We have Vega, and I don't know much about Vega yet, so I'm just not going to make any commentary on that. However, my understanding is that both for Eliza and all 3 of these Crystal Warriors, who are all great already, they are going to continue to stay great and will be updated into greatness. What is interesting to keep an eye on is that Ignore Sure Hit being on Chunok might make him a viable unit all of a sudden. And I think there's some healing power stuff and some other stuff happening to Velric, which is going to make his Drain Rush even more dominating, which could be really good for him. That is, he is kind of all of his eggs in one basket unit, but luckily that basket is Drain Rush, and it's an amazing move, so maybe that will make him good. But the one unit that I definitely want to talk about is Lucio. And the reason I want to talk about Lucio is that my understanding is that he's completely free to build. Maybe you need Gil. You definitely need JP from what I've heard. And I think that, like, even the parts, like shards or stuff that you have to grind are grindable in that you can do missions for them. But we're going to have AoE resistance, always nice to see. Only 10 is actually kind of low. I see 15 a lot on these. AP consumption down 20. That looks really good. And then this is on his bravery reducing move, his job level 25. And what that is going to do now is increase his slash penetration for 3 turns. So kind of like Vortex Kick, except he's getting slash attack resistance penetration instead of defense penetration before this big diamond AoE lands. And then, in addition to that, it is going to decrease their AP. So this is now Locke's AP hunt on steroids. And the reason, and none of this like makes him the most amazing character. It really does bring him back up to kind of being, arguably, I've always thought of him as a 90 cost unit. That really feels like his power level to me. especially with some of his special equipment. But this brings him back up to being a 90 cost 140 unit. The thing that I think that makes Lucio especially special is that all of that stuff, once his 140 awakening was given, was completely free, in keeping with Lucio himself being a completely free unit. So I think that while he may not have an impact on the really high meta of the game, in the same way that after Final Fantasy X released, Tidus was by far the most popular unit in Arena, I think that Lucio is going to be incredibly popular in PvP after this update releases, just because players that otherwise might not be able to maximize a character like, Winged Stern or some Sephiroth or Yuffie or somebody like that, they're going to be able to build Lucio. And they're going to be able to build Lucio strong. And it's not like his max stats are any lower than any of the other Dream Enhanced units. So even a brand new player can have potentially a unit that is strong enough that it can actually compete favorably with other and possibly better built 140 units that, due to lack of resources, haven't been grinded up through the reincarnation system as much as you can afford to do so with Lucio. So that makes him interesting into the future, and an interesting note to end this video on.